to the Imagine More Success radio show. It's the All About You show with successful entrepreneurs and business experts who are sharing their stories and their powerful takeaways while providing you with the tips, tools, tactics, and a free weekly gift to help you thrive. Your hosts for the Imagine More Success radio show are the best-selling authors Cindy Hendricks, who's a certified business consultant, and Thomas Hides, a certified world-class public speaking coach. Check out the Imagine More Success radio show at imaginemoresuccess.net because now's the time for you to realize your dreams and to imagine more success. Welcome to the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We've got another fun show planned for you today. Cindy, today we're going to be talking about mastering the media. We're going to be talking about how people can use media to attract more leads to their businesses. How valuable do you think that is these days?
Hey, I think it's the top of the mountain that we need to climb, and Angel is just the person to help us climb it because we need to be exposed.
Yeah, when you're listening today, you're going to have a chance to learn how you can begin to interact with the media in a more profound way, how you can develop a game plan and the system for how you can utilize media in order to increase profits and to get more leads, especially if you're the type of business that requires constant new leads. It's a really, really wonderful tool for you. We have a guest today, Angel Tuccy, who is an award-winning speaker and radio host, a TV producer, and best-selling author, and most importantly, she's a PR media specialist, and she's going to teach you today how you can use media to build your business, your book, or your brand. She's appeared on over 200 stages in the U.S., as well as London, one of my favorite places, Toronto, the Bahamas, and Cancun. She has done about 2,000 radio broadcasts, interviewed over 5,000 guests, including some really well-known people like Sharon Lechter, Michael Gerber, Les Brown, Forbes Riley, and Bill Walsh. Angel's Media Bootcamp is one of the most comprehensive marketing programs that's being taught to entrepreneurs today. We're going to touch on that today as well. And we want to go ahead and introduce her to the show and introduce her to you. Thanks for joining us today. This is Angel Tuccy.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
We're so thrilled to have you today, and we just can't wait to hear you got started with accomplishing all that. So what was it that got you interested in going into this line of work, Angel?
Well, I'll tell you, it is kind of a surprise myself. I was the girl that barely graduated high school because one of the requirements was you had to take a public speaking class. And had my public speaking teacher not taken pity on me and gave me a passing D, I wouldn't have even graduated high school because I was too nervous to stand in front of my peers and give a presentation. And one of the opportunities that we had was to go into our local high school radio studio. We had a radio station. And all I had to do was read straight word for word, copy from a piece of paper into a microphone. And I could barely do that. So fast forward 30 years later, and I'm the host of an award-winning, nationally syndicated radio show that is broadcasted from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. And I did that for 10 years. I was also the host of a second 2-hour Christian lifestyle show. So at the peak of my career, I was hosting 4 hours of talk radio every single day.
That's amazing, and that's a really great inspirational story for anyone who's listening today. You can go from where you're barely able to speak in front of people to hosting your own radio show. I mean, I think that's an incredible accomplishment and really, really inspiring.
Well, thank you. It was a wonderful career. I loved it. We had started out as a podcast. Our show got discovered by our local radio station, and we started broadcasting with just a daily 30-minute show. Ended up with a very fabulous, fun career up until about 2.5 years ago when I walked in and our producer called me into the studio and said, "Angel, we've made a change. That is code for you're off the air." And 5 minutes later, I'm walking out of the building with my cardboard box and my disco ball. And the same week, my children, my 2 oldest daughters, decided they were going to move from Colorado, where we live, to Florida. My son was in college. I was becoming an empty nester. and really the bottom just fell out from underneath me. But just prior to that, I had been invited or had been introduced to a group that traveled all around the country speaking, and they said, we're looking for more speakers, and we don't have anybody teaching media, how to get on media, what the protocol is for leveraging media. So I kind of hitched my wagon to that group, and that's where for the next 2.5 years I spoke on over 200 stages teaching entrepreneurs how to get more exposure.
Very cool.
How fascinating. So anyone listening, you know that all you have to do is raise your hand and you can just go for it.
Absolutely. Angel, we want to talk a little bit about where businesses are today and why what we're going to be talking about today is so very important. So businesses are finding themselves, obviously, most of them are finding themselves struggling to gain clients and maybe even keep current clients. So tell us a little bit about how media exposure solves that problem for them.
Well, I think a big challenge for small business owners, especially, is that they are busy but broke. Right? They're out there, they're hustling, they're doing everything they can. When I was speaking at these small business expos across the country, if you were to ask any small business owner, what do you need the most help with today? They would always say, I need customers. And the challenge for that is because we've been taught to build our business one to one. We're out doing networking groups, right, where we're exchanging business cards, connecting, doing one-on-one emails through LinkedIn, one-on-one discovery calls, coffee meetings, all of that. Right? It's building your business one person at a time, and you cannot build a scalable business one person at a time. You can build relationships that way, but you're definitely going to need one to many or one to media. You need exposure if you're going to build a scalable business. And so the struggle, right, is that they're on this hamster wheel trying to figure out, how do I get more people to say I've heard of you? How do I get my brand, my business, my book, my story in front of even more? And so we teach the power of what we call OPA, other people's audiences. Because when you are interviewed as a guest on somebody else's radio show, television, magazine, podcast, as a panelist, there's a lot of factors that go into play. Number one, the transfer of trust. When they're listening to you here, they already trust you. You have a built-in audience. When you bring a guest on your show, that trust transfers automatically over to your guest. And people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So we get that transfer of trust. We get that exposure instead of building it. So no more onesies, only minis.
And conceptually, that is really the basis of your business, right? Utilize, instead of moving the needle ever so slightly with just one-on-one communication, you also, in addition to that, you also want to spread your message to many people. Do you find that that really intimidates people?
Absolutely. People would always come up to me and say, well, Angel, of course everybody wants, to be in your room and to hear your workshop because they all want that. And that's not true. Most people are afraid of it. They don't realize that really how powerful their story is, how powerful their impact is. The fact that they are even just, one or two steps ahead of the person who's listening to them gives them a level of expertise that we are looking for. People are asking you questions. If they're asking to pick your brain, they're wanting more information. It's because you have a level of experience or knowledge or wisdom or talent. And because it comes so naturally, it's what we do every day, we underestimate the value that we bring to the table. But I promise you, when you take inspired action, you follow your heart, you'll never make a mistake.
That's beautiful, and I love that. It's very inspirational. I have a question for you about social media versus, say, more traditional media. As social media has become more and more popular, and it seems to be something that people, again, use for determining who they trust and who they want to do business with, how does more traditional media like television and print and radio actually work in today's society, and how can you, as a business owner, use it to get the results you want?
Well, of course it is shifting, right? Most people are not watching the news like they used to, and media has definitely changed how the consumer is consuming traditional media versus social media. The benefit is in those logos, is in that familiarity, is still in their audience. They are still the higher level. I mean, people, when you think about, if I was to ask, who do you want to be, interviewed by? What what platform would you like to be featured on?
And what do
It's
you mean
still
logos when you say the powers in the logos?
the ABCs, NBCs, CBS, those A plus, those major media networks. This is why people, you always see on their business cards, on their Instagram banners, like they always put those logos as featured on magazines, TV, radio. It's still the standard, even though we're not watching and consuming it as we used to. It is still that coveted standard. Those are logos that people are familiar with, and so when you align your brand as featured on, as seen on, the consumer, there's a credibility, there's an elevation of credibility for your brand, because if they've had you, if they trust you, if they interviewed you, maybe you're at least worthy of me checking you out, following. It's also, create that little disrupting complacency as people are scrolling along, right? You want to grab their attention. And because those logos and those brands, really it's the brands more than the logos, right? Those are familiar. So there's the benefit. Yes, we still want to leverage social media. That's a great place to create engagement with our audience, to build that trust, to create that conversation. Marketing is the art of starting a conversation, but truly exposure is where most small businesses are lacking. And your revenue is directly tied to the amount of exposure you're getting. He with the most exposure wins. It doesn't matter what your story is, doesn't matter what you're selling, that if more people have heard of you, that's who's going to have more success.
Exposure equals success. That's a really great concept. And I like that idea also, the as featured on, as seen on. That's something that when I work with public speaking clients, we're always trying to get that as well, getting interviews. Walk us through that kind of first step of getting those first interviews with someone like Fox or CBS.
Well, so first of all, we have to really take our sales hat off and put our publicity hat on. When you're being interviewed, it's not a sales pitch, it's not an infomercial. They're not really there to help you to sell your program, sell tickets to your event. For that, you have to pay for advertising. They are looking for stories. They're looking for human interest. They're looking for impact. And so you really have to ask yourself, what is the big impact? Like, what's the big idea behind what it is that I'm doing? If I do sell this book, if I do launch this course and everybody started using it, how would the world be different? How would the community, how will businesses thrive? How will families thrive? How would communities succeed? And that's the story that we have to dig a little deeper to get into. For the press to really want to pick it up. So number one, take your sales hat off and put your publicity hat on. Ask yourself, what is the big impact? Number two is really to put together your speaker sheet or a media sheet. The dirty little secret on the inside track is, you think that we're so clever in asking and being able to interview. But a lot of that is provided by our guest on the front side. And so when you can provide, these are the talking points, this is the journey, this is my story, you can almost navigate where that interview is going to go with a well put together speaker sheet.
And when we come back in just a moment, we're actually going to continue this conversation today about PR and the big impact that it can have on your life with Angel Tuccy at Tuccy, we're going to come back in just a few minutes. Do stick around. Welcome back to the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. Today we are discussing how you can master the media and how you can use media to attract more leads to your business. In our previous segment, we were actually just kind of working through a little bit of the concept of how your business can begin to gain some credibility and get those as featured on logos onto your website by interacting with large television networks. And we're talking today with Angel Tuccy, who is a PR and media specialist. And previously, she was stating that you want to do a couple of things. The first thing is you want to get rid of that kind of salesperson hat, and you want to focus on your impact story and how you can both kind of entertain and educate and have fun with the television audience, because that's what producers are looking for, as well as making a really amazing speaker sheet. Angel, this speaker sheet has tremendous value for kind of getting your foot in the door. Where does someone go or business go once they've developed a lovely speaker sheet and then they've sent it out? What's kind of the next step after that?
Well, there's a couple ways that you can connect with journalists. Number one, create a wish list of who do you want to be featured on? What shows would you like to be interviewed by? What hosts would you like to be interviewed by? And always start with your wish list. Every single journalist is accessible these days thanks to the power of social media, right? We can connect with them on LinkedIn, through Twitter, Instagram. We can follow them and really start to and really connect directly with our favorite journalists. They're out there, and they're out there to be connected with. And so build that relationship, follow them, comment on what they're already doing, share it, like it, become a fan. So by the time you do pitch your story to them, they've already heard of you, right? And you've added value to them without asking, right? Because they're always being asked. So start by adding value. A second way that you can connect directly with journalists is using your good old-fashioned Google search tool. If you think about the expertise that you bring to the table, what you speak on, what you would be interviewed by, and what your expert topic is, if you were to put that into Google as a search, there's a sub filter. There's like a little sub bar that says, it's like images and shopping, books, videos. There's also a little sub bar that says news. So if you go into Google, right, you're typing for something, you can hit on that little sub filter that says news, and it will bring up an instant media database of media outlets that are covering your topic. And you could connect directly with any one of those journalists by adding value to a story that they've already put together, letting them know I'm an expert in this space. In fact, maybe I'm writing a book on it, or I have a book on it. Here are my talking points. Here's my speaker sheet. And if you have a press release, right? If you have a press release out, you can also send those press releases directly to your local news stations. Your local news stations are looking for fresh news stories every day. And in fact, every single one of their websites has a place you can submit a press release directly to them. So number one, your wish list, connect with them through the social media sites. Number two, do the Google search and look up those and get that instant media database. And number three, to submit your press releases directly to your local news channels.
Well, that's fantastic advice. And I think then that's what I think that's kind of that big step that maybe a lot of people are a little, maybe I guess, confused about how to do it. But you have some tremendous resources available on your website, and I want to make note of that now. It's makeyourbigimpact.com. That's where you can find Angel Tuccy on the internet, and you can also check out a lot of the other resources that she has available in order to help you with this as well. Angel, what's kind of a big misconception that people have about this entire process of moving their business from a place where it's not known or they're dealing with people one-on-one to this much larger market of getting involved with big media?
Well, I think the number one thing is they think that they're going to sell something through these media outlets, right? They're going to come in and fill their programs and fill their events, and they're going to sell, right? They're going to bring in all these clients. But again, that's an advertising. You have to pay for advertising. in order to have that type of call to action. And advertising absolutely works. But what we're talking about is earned media, where you're being invited in because of your expertise, because of your knowledge, because of your story that we want to share. So I think the biggest misconception is that you're going to use it to sell something. But probably the other misconception is that you've got to be a big business in order to leverage press releases and publicity. But really the opportunity is there just as much for a solopreneur, a micro business, a small business, as there is for a large company. Only we never think about using publicity and PR. We're always just posting on social media. But if I was to ask you what's new, I've launched a book, I've launched a course, I've donated to a big charity, I became a bestseller. Right? We are doing things day in, day out. If you were to look at your calendar to say, look, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, who'd you tell? I posted it on social media. Every single one of those milestones and action items could possibly be turned into a press release headline and submitted directly to media desks. And just having your press release picked up on a media desk could give you those media logos just as much as being interviewed.
So there's a tool that that I know is like gaining popularity. Obviously, the idea of writing books, and Cindy is a master of that. She's written, I don't know how many books now. We're over a dozen, Cindy, with Cindy. And talk to us a little bit about how the book publicity process looks for, like you said, when someone's starting, they maybe don't know what they're doing, they don't have a great game plan yet, and then what a really wonderful, powerful game plan that includes using media and publicity.
Well, I will tell you, Cindy is onto something. She is, we have a magic formula if you want to create publicity. Number one is to publish your book. It is the number one way to get booked on stages, to be invited into media, because even if you can't sell something, they allow you to sell your book. It's like the one little caveat. That's not a sales thing to journalists, is selling your book. So they love interviewing authors. It does establish you as the expert in your industry. I talk about two types of books when people think about writing their book. I've published 11. And so I'm not quite up to Cindy, but most of the time people think about writing what I call their heart book. I think their book of passion, love songs, or poetry, their breakthrough journey. But in most cases, our heart book doesn't equate back to clients. And so my very first book I published in 2009, it was all about work-life balance and time management. And it qualified as a heart book because I didn't sell anything regarding time management or work-life balance or helping moms to, better their professional career. So book number 2 was really where I got smart, and I call it my food book. And it's the book that puts food on the table. It's the book that puts you in front of the right audiences to be interviewed, but also that attracts your perfect client back into your sales funnel. And the food book, really, you probably already have written. I call it a 100-page love letter to your clients. That would be,
love the sound of that.
And it's, and you probably already have it written. It's sitting in your computer. It looks like blog posts, PowerPoint presentations, frequently asked questions, emails to your clients, the follow-up process, the onboarding process of bringing clients on. So if people are always asking you to pick your brain, or maybe they're not quite ready to buy into your program just yet, your book can be this very, very powerful tool to open up those doors for bringing in clients and for getting booked on stages. So way to go, Cindy.
Thank you. Well, what we did was Thomas and I created courses around over half of the books I've written.
That's brilliant. Right? You create the exposure, and if you've got your books on Amazon, and especially Amazon Prime Days come around, I think twice a year. To have your books featured on Amazon has every tool set up to help you to sell. They give you a web page for free for every single one of your books. And if you have it on paperback, Kindle, and audio, that's 3 web pages for your book They handle all the distribution, they handle all the order taking, they handle all the fulfillment, and at the end of the month, they send you a check. And imagine if you, and so our magic formula is, right, number one, write your book. Number two, do 2 interviews a week. If you sold 25 copies of your book twice a week in 2 interviews a week, that's 200 copies of your book. That's an extra $5,000 in revenue with no upfront inventory costs.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. That really makes sense. And think about the outreach that is for people having, anyone that opens that book. I feel like once they have the opportunity to read something that you've written, that they can hear your voice and they can really feel your heart. And I think that's a really wonderful way for people to, I guess, to kind of maybe speed up the process for someone really understanding who you are and what you're saying as a business.
And just think of the lives that are being changed.
So
well,
true.
And again, right, we're building, we're as business owners, and this is where, we belonged to a local leads group, and we met with the same people every week. We went to the networking events with pretty much the same people in it, and you're having, it's a very slow way to grow your business. Instead, walk in with your book as a door prize. I'm going to give away my book. Now all eyes are on you. Most likely they'll give you the microphone to talk for a couple of minutes. You establish yourself as the authority in this space. When people aren't ready yet to buy, there may be a not yet. Now you can get the book because it adds value. It will talk them into working with you. One of the things, my kids work at Disney, and there's a ride at Epcot called the Test Track. And the Test Track is really, a really fancy love letter sales pitch from Chevy, because all throughout the ride, you're seeing their cars and their innovation. You cannot buy a Chevy car from the Test Track at Epcot. And yet that ride accounts for 6% of all overall sales for Chevy.
Wow.
Your book is the same concept.
That's a really great analogy. In addition to, when people obviously write a book, they're doing in-person things. Right now, we're not doing in-person things. How about interacting with the media at this time when people are doing things online and promoting the book?
People ask me, has it changed? And we had a bunch of authors who were coming on, their books were coming out, and they were obviously very concerned. I can't do a book launch. I can't do a book signing. They've spent all this time getting this book out, and now I can't. But I will tell you, the opportunities now are bigger than they've ever been before. We held a virtual book launch party that was global. We had people, tuning in from India, from Australia, right, all across the globe, to a book signing party that would not have happened had they just run that book launch party locally. Now, the world is your oyster. We are all global thanks to technology. And right now, I think people are just more accepting of, we're just going to do this online. We're going to do it via Skype. We're going to do it via Zoom. We're going to do it via the phone. And this is just how we're doing it now. So really, from sun up to sundown, you could be doing a virtual book tour, being interviewed multiple times a day. And this is actually my 4th podcast today. So
wow.
I didn't even have to, I haven't even put on shoes. I do have on yoga pants, but I didn't even have to put on shoes. And for this one, I didn't even have to put on lipstick.
Well, if you're at home right now and you're listening and you haven't put on lipstick yet and you haven't put on your shoes yet, we want you to stick around. We're going to be back in a couple minutes. We're going to continue the conversation with Angel Tuccy, who is the award-winning speaker and radio host and PR media specialist. And if you'd like to check out some of the past episodes of the Imagine More Success radio show, go to imaginemoresuccess.net, where you can find those previous episodes and get access to your free gift from each and every one. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We're so glad that you could stick with us today and join us. We've been talking with Angel Tuccy from MakeYourBigImpact.com. One of her favorite quotes is, when you have faith and take action, the world shows up to support you, guide you, and create miracles. That's Martin Luther King. I thought it was a really great quote to include in today's show because it seems so very timely and yet timeless. And really, these fundamentals that you're talking about with PR and with reaching out and to the masses and to the many, I think it's really in really great alignment with that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think that sometimes we just have to have faith and take that leap. Sometimes we have to say yes, even before we feel ready. I always tell my clients, done is better than perfect. When you don't have to be great to start, right? Jim Rohn, you just have to start to be great. But the people around you will not let you fall, I promise you. And even if you do, right? Fall 7 times, get up 8. Every biography we've ever read is full of somebody else's challenges that they just did not give up, and they kept going. 3 Feet from Gold, same story, right?
Yeah.
We just have to take action and put ourselves out there.
That is a great story. Angel, take a moment and just walk us through that story, 3 Feet from Gold.
Oh, right. Here's, I think Sharon Lechter and Greg Reed have a book, 3 Feet from Gold, but it's, kind of based out of the gold rush, right? Here was a group of people that had been mining for gold and, struck nothing, kind of gave up, sold the property or I think told the shovel guy, right? They lost this vein. They went back and dug and picked it up somewhere else. And the person, right before they struck gold, they were 3 feet from actually hitting gold before they gave up on that vein, walked away and quit. And I'll tell you, the only way to fail, there's only one absolute way to fail, and that is to quit.
So if you're sitting at home today and you're listening, or wherever you're listening in the car, ask yourself, what part of your business are you literally just 3 feet away from gold? I think that's always a wonderful question to ask, especially in a time like this when people seem to be maybe struggling with some ideas about using revenue. You actually have a really cool media matchmaking site that you utilize with your clients. Talk to us a little bit about that site.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. That came out. I was in an audience of another event, and there was somebody in PR that was talking. They were asking them for some ideas. What are your tips for getting publicity? And one of the tips was somebody else's resource. And it just kind of struck me as odd. I thought, why, if you're going to have 5 minutes to highlight who you are and what would you do, why would you send them to somebody else's website? It was just this like weird little thought if I had a thought bubble, like a little thought bubble, it popped up in my head. And I thought, well, I would do the same thing because I don't have that matchmaking site. And boom, 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 ding, 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 winner, winner, chicken dinner. I could create a media matchmaking site, a place for people who are looking for guests, because people come to me all the time. Angel, we need guests, we need speakers, we need, content writers. I've got a magazine, and I'm always playing matchmaker. What if I could put them into one site where they could put their call for speakers, call for guests, and then backfill it with people who are looking for speaking opportunities, interview opportunities, what we call OPA, other people's audiences. And so we started a Facebook group called Need a Guest, and you can get there from needaguest.com. It's a free site. Find a guest or get booked. And we just started that just a couple of months ago, and I'm pretty excited. And it makes it so much easier now when people say, hey, we're looking for a guest. I'm like, put your call to action here. PBS American Portrait. We've gotten so many on there. There's so many opportunities there, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Love that. I mean, that's a really great example of seeing a need or seeing a problem, and then offering a solution which works for so many people. And it's also a great place to really bring people together, which is obviously a big part of your message as well. For someone who is in the place where maybe they've started their PR journey and with a company and they're maybe struggling to create content or to feel like their message is 100%, what do you kind of recommend for that person?
Well, I'll tell you, you don't need to always have fresh new content. You stay in your lane. I think a lot of times we think, well, I've got to have a new talk, a new presentation, a new book, a new course. Like it's always got to be new. But truly, become the master of who you are and what you speak on, and get so good at that one. I am an expert in this. These are the results I provide. That can be your media pitch. That can be your signature talk. That turns into your signature course, into your modules, into your private coaching, into your multi-day events. Right? If you stay in your lane, then you go up what we call the revenue ladder. And I don't remember where I read this, but there's this revenue ladder where you start out as a generalist, move up to specialist, expert, and then authority. I think a lot of us dabble in that generalist. Like we're always wanting to be like, oh, I can speak to parents. Oh, I can speak to dog owners. Oh, I can speak to cat owners, right? And we want to be something for everyone. But truly, when you are the authority in your one expert topic, you'll never run out of content. I did a radio show for 10 years, 4 hours a day. Content was never a challenge, right? You can always interview somebody. You can always, do case studies on your clients. You can always do collaborations with what I call your upstream partners and your downstream partners. People that, when you do business with me, I create a problem for you, right? You need a book, you need a digital course, you need automation. And so I go to my upstream partners that serve my clients in that way. I can collaborate with them. Downstream, when people put together a website or have a book, have a program, they need PR. So I'm their upstream. I can create collaboration with my upstream and downstream partners. We can do stage swaps, right? We never run out of content.
It's so true. I think Cindy and I both thought the same thing when we first started podcasting. We're like, we're going to run out of content. We've said everything we're going to say in the first 12 episodes, and it's just not the case. And, like you said, the world's constantly providing new and interesting challenges, which are truly opportunities. And that gives you plenty of ways to find and create new content. And yes, I agree with you too. The idea of having to constantly make something new actually is not really necessary, because so many people listen to very specific platforms that you actually do need to repeat your message, because you can't just say it on one particular show and expect that everyone's going to watch that one particular show.
No, absolutely. And I think that for us, we feel like, well, I'm a talking parrot and I say the same thing over and over again. Yes, you do. But that's what makes you so good at it. That's you staying in your lane. That's where you totally own the word of mouth marketing, right? And it's easier for people to refer you when they know exactly who you are, what you do, who you serve. And so the telephone game, right? When people are referring you, you don't want, I mean, if we're going to diversify in how you serve. Have a signature talk, have a signature course, have a book, put out the second book, put together your multi-day events, put together articles on that. You can stay all in one vertical. And then when you get so good, like we've all heard it before, right? You'd say, well, I've heard that before, right? But are you doing it, and have you mastered it? You become the master at it, and then you can add other pieces to it.
That's beautiful. Do you spend time working? Well, actually, I know that you have this. I want to cover kind of the big course that you have, the Media Boot Camp, which is really teaching this 3-step approach to really attracting media attention. Tell me a little bit about who that course serves and what someone can expect as they go through it.
The Media Mastery Boot Camp we do 3 times a year. And I love it because we bring you all together. And so there's some masterminding, there's peer-to-peer collaboration, stage swapping, you've got a focus group that you can test out messaging, your call to action. We want to make sure we focus on revenue and exposure. We want to make sure that not only are you getting the exposure, but how to monetize the exposure as well. And so it's a multi-day event that we do 3 times a year, and it's really designed for two sets of people. One, somebody who just needs to build their list, right? They need, when they launch their course, when they publish their book, when they have their stuff ready to go, they're going to need a list of followers, a list of raving fans. So if you don't yet have a list, leveraging other people's audiences is a great way to build that list. So when you're ready to launch, you've got an audience. Number 2 is if you've already got some products and programs and different elements put together, but you're ready to take it up. Just take it up a notch and get even more exposure, because now your fans are expecting to see you everywhere. And now you're ready to scale it. We talk about automation, delegation, and scaling, so that you can hit really build that legacy of a business, multiple streams of revenue, but all staying in your one lane, monetizing your intellectual property, using other people's audiences in order to do that.
Very cool. That sounds really comprehensive, and I could see someone really having a significant breakthrough after going through a boot camp like that.
Oh, Thomas, I was just chatting with a gal who came to one a year ago, and we want to have, of course, we haven't had a live one since February, but the group that came to one last September, and where they are now, I almost want to do like one of those TV shows. Where are they now? Because in just 1 year, where they were then and where they are, it's truly been amazing transformation. And so I think we're going to have kind of a little reunion of tracking where they were a year ago.
Well, it sounds so exciting, Angel, but do you ever work one-on-one, or are you strictly into the group training?
Well, I do have some one-on-one private coaching clients that I work with. But as you know, there's only so many. There's only so much time in a day. And so we have really gotten very good at this group, the group training, the one-to-many, and working as a group. And I love working as a group, but I take on 10 private coaching clients throughout the year, where we work one-on-one privately with them. But it's so limited because that takes a lot of time from me sitting in this chair. So we do both, but mostly what we really emphasize are these group events.
And so are you planning on doing online now, or are you just going to wait until we're all set free again?
We did our September boot camp online, and of course, and it was fun, and it'll be interesting to see a year from now what kind of results they had versus the year before that came in person. I mean, this is all so new, right? We're all testing, tracking, tweaking, and pivoting, being creative, innovating as we go. We do a lot. I did start our Media Mastery Live, which is a 12-week live coaching. It used to only be digital. It was all pre-recorded, but during the pandemic, I just really felt like we needed more connection. So we added a live version of a 12-week live master course that we added, and that's included in the boot camp, just because I felt like we just needed more time together. And then we also added a new press release subscription service where we write and distribute press releases every single month for our clients. So we've done a lot of, we started the Need a Guest site, we started the press release subscription, we started our Media Mastery Live. We've definitely pivoted and shifted over here.
Well, hold that thought. Thomas is going to take us out and then bring us back in a few minutes.
Stick around. When we come back in just a couple minutes, we'll be back on with Angel Tuccy, and we're going to continue the PR conversation on the Imagine More Success radio show. are back on the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We've been tearing up the airwaves today with some great information about PR and how it can make a difference in your business, and how your relationship with the media can turn into relationship with the masses. We've been speaking today with Angel Tuccy, who is a PR media specialist, and she's spent tons of time doing radio shows where she was a guest, and now, where she was a host, and now she's doing radio shows as a guest. And in our previous segment, we were kind of touching on some of these concepts. Number one, how you can launch your business on media, how you can get extra exposure through more traditional media resources, as well as how you can promote a book, how you can create a diverse marketing plan for you and your business. Angel, I guess the next question, number one, I'm a little book obsessive. Cindy is as well. So we're always talking about books and marketing books, and love it, writing books. The other thing that we're slightly obsessive about also is courses and marketing courses. What are some of your best points and overall strategies for marketing a course for someone who is selling them?
Well, you absolutely, if you're going to build a scalable business, duplicating yourself through a course. If you answer a question more than twice, right, you should record that and put that into some automation and some modules that you can serve your clients even more. But promoting a course is very similar to the same process as promoting a book. I would recommend do a grand opening, do a launch. Don't just put it out and say, hey, by the way, my course has started. Create some energy and excitement and a buzz around it. Have a it's coming day, have a start day, have a grand opening, almost like a ribbon cutting. And you can do this virtually. Put out a press release about the event. Invite your local dignitaries, the media, just as you would if it was a live in-person program. Don't play small, right? You've poured into this. This is a big deal. Not everybody is doing it. It might feel like it if that's the world you're in, but I promise you there are more people that need help than who are serving, right? And so putting your course together, launching your course, launch it in a way by going out and doing press releases or putting out press releases, doing media interviews to drive traffic back to your program. And do it big. Do it big.
Is that something that you recommend, reaching out to the larger formats?
I would start with local. So I always start with your local media, and the reason for that is the local media feeds into the regional outlets, and the regional outlets feed into the major markets. So every single news station has on their website a place you can submit your press releases to. By doing them every single month, like having something fresh and new that you can send to them, your brand becomes familiar. They're more likely to pick up your story. So don't feel like you have to wait every single month. Look at your to-do list. What have you accomplished? And start building those connections with your local media. And so leverage your local media with your news, right? Got news. And if you're putting together a course, if you had a milestone with the course, right? Maybe you sold out. Maybe you hit your 100th. You had, a guest speaker, an influencer, being able to speak on other people's stages. All of that gives you an opportunity to create publicity.
Beautiful. Angel, actually, every single week on our show, we have a free gift for the listeners. Take a moment and walk us through the free gift that you have for them today.
Well, I think getting started in media is critical. If you're not leveraging other people's audiences, you're probably at a risk of burning out, being on that hamster wheel, building your business one-to-one versus one-to-many. And so let's just get you started. And I have a complimentary media starter kit when you go to makeyourbigimpact.com. We have press release ideas, templates, guaranteed media outlets, databases, everything just to get you started, to get your feet in the door. Because media attracts media and stages attract stages. And you don't have to do it alone. It's all complimentary just for listening for the show today.
That's really great.
What a great gift. Thank you so much for sharing with our listeners, Angel.
Well, you are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So again, Angel, tell us again where they can get that.
The website is makeyourbigimpact.com. I want you to make your big impact, and it's a complimentary media starter kit.
Yeah, grab your free media guide and media starter kit on how to create guaranteed unlimited publicity. Some really great points that you're going to be learning about how to do free publicity, online links back to your website, how to reach out literally to millions of readers, connecting with journalists, attracting new customers, and so much more. Angel, we've talked about books, we've talked about courses. What about for people who are doing product launches, like a physical launch? Um, what sort of events do you recommend that people use in order to create a PR buzz?
Well, influencers, absolutely. Get your product into the hand of an influencer. Have them do some videos, some Facebook lives, take some pictures. Always, right? Don't start from scratch. And I think, we always think that we're in this alone because we're small businesses, right? We're doing it all on our own. But there are so many opportunities. There's unlimited opportunities for being featured, to be interviewed, especially if you have something really cool, really funky, right? Really unique. This is where your marketing hat does go on, right? You've got to put the spin on it. Well, how is this going to make my life sexier, faster, easier, smarter? And so leverage that, the uniqueness of what it is that you're doing. Align with a charity. If you've got a nonprofit or a cause that is near and dear to your heart that you're going to be giving some of the proceeds back to, right? As businesses, we should all have something we're giving ourselves back, giving something back to the community, because the community is feeding us. So make sure you've always got something that you're giving out and putting good into the world. Remember, if things aren't going good, do good. And so align with an influencer, align with a local nonprofit, and still press releases. Press releases are business's best friend.
And while it seems, like something that someone kind of look up online, tell us a little bit about releases and is there kind of like some magic that needs to go into them?
Absolutely, right? Again, it's not sales copy, it's not marketing, it's publicity. It's always a factual document. So think about this, right? Cindy and Thomas launch a course, right? They're launching their new course, have launched their course. Right? It's not a sexy headline. It's just, we did this, right? Company A doing this thing. And then making sure that all the facts that support that headline are in the body of that press release. Only the facts, no exclamation points, no sales marketing fluff, just who, what, when, where, like just the details go into a press release. 350 to 500 words maximum. So they're short, which is why we do them every single month, just like little pieces of popcorn for your story. And then a very good call to action that gets them into your sales funnel.
So how can people find you to get information on your events, your quarterly events?
If they go to makeyourbigimpact.com, they can download that complimentary starter kit. That'll also get them information, get them into, we'll send out information to them for the media boot camp. The next one will be the first quarter of 2021. We do have our Media Mastery Live is getting ready to kick off in a couple of weeks. And so they can get everything. They can learn about our press release subscription. They can order a copy of my book, ABCs of Exposure, all of that when they go to makeyourbigimpact.com.
Great. And can you share what your cost is going to be, or do you know that yet? What your price is for the event?
For the boot camp?
Yes.
So there's a couple different packages and bundles that we put together. If they do just the boot camp, it's $300. If they bundle it into our Media Accelerator, it includes our Media Master Course, our 12 weeks of Media Mastery Live, a full year of group coaching, tickets to all the boot camps, press release subscription. There's a lot of different things we can bundle into it based on your needs.
Well, that's very affordable. So if you want to get known, you better check out that boot camp.
Thank you.
So we touched on books, we've touched on courses, some products as well. for someone who's listening today, they can definitely download your media kit. What's the question that you think that a business owner should ask themselves today about PR and where they are in the process?
Well, number one, what's new, right? And look at what you've done. And have you created any publicity around what is new in the last ever, really? But in the last 30 days, have you put out any publicity around what is new? And then number two is, how are people finding you? Are they finding you? Do you have a way to bring in new leads every single month? Imagine if you did 2 interviews a week, 1 press release a month, that's 100 stages a year and thousands of media desks that are getting your story. And you do it all from the comfort of your own home. You do it from, doing a 20 to 60 minute podcast, an interview. You don't even have to leave your home, and you can create an unlimited funnel of new leads back to you.
It's really incredible.
And not that tough to do.
No, you get to just share your juicy goodness, right? All your intellectual property, something you're passionate about, you speak on every day anyway. So share it with the world.
I want to take a minute to talk a little bit about lifestyle, because so many of us have maybe had a gigantic change in lifestyle. Maybe what we're doing every day has changed, or maybe that vacation that we were planning got canceled, or obviously concerts are not happening. Tell us a little bit right now, give us a little behind the scenes about you, and what is something that you're doing that really enhances your lifestyle, makes you feel great right now at a time where maybe some of your traditional choices are kind of limited?
Well, back in March, I had every speaking event get canceled. I stopped counting after 60 events that I was scheduled to speak at had canceled.
Wow.
But again, we pivoted. I started doing a morning talk show every single day to bring audiences together to connect, and I get to do that from the comfort of my own home. It's safe, it's social distancing, but yet I still get to connect with people all over the globe. We upped we shifted kind of how we were offering media mastery before to create more community, to create more collaboration and connection, because I think that we just need people more than ever. We need to be connected. And then the opposite of it is I turn my computer off at 6:00 on Friday night, and I don't turn it back on again until Monday morning at 8, just to give myself a little bit of break from the technology, from the lights, from the brain, all the stuff that is going on, just to give myself some time off.
I think it's a really great kind of behind the scenes look, because I would assume that most people would think that you didn't necessarily do that you were, constantly working with, especially when you're talking about doing 4 radio shows in a day. And I think that's a really great insight to let people know that they need to recharge as well, even if they don't feel like they need it, maybe.
And we really enjoyed having you on the show today, Angel. So Thomas will take us out, and we'll look forward to hearing back from you soon.
Angel, thanks for joining us today. We do want to encourage you to check out imaginemoresuccess.net, where you can get access to our past episodes, where every single week you can also get access to a lovely free gift that will help you thrive in your business. To learn more about Angel Tuccy, go to makeyourbigimpact.com. And if you'd like to learn some skills, tools, and concepts that you can utilize in order to move your business forward and to make more money, go to findhiddenmoney.com, where you can find a selection of courses by me and Cindy that can help you thrive. And we want to remind you that there's always wonderful opportunities in the world, and where others see challenges, we want you to look for opportunities, because we want you to always realize your dreams and to imagine more success.